Susan Sarandon has opened up about the move Paul Newman made when they worked on Twilight. When Susan Sarandon took on the role of Catherine Ames in the 1998 movie Twilight, a hidden detail shocked the longtime actress. When her co-star, Paul Newman, found out, he personally saw to it that things were put right. 20 years later, Sarandon finally revealed what the big screen legend did for her. Actor Susan Sarandon has been part of the Hollywood scene for nearly 50 years. Born Susan Abigail Tomalin in Queens, New York in October 1946, she grew up in Edison, New Jersey with her 8 younger brothers and sisters. She graduated Edison High School in 1964. The future star's mother, Lenora Marie Criscione, was from an Italian family, while her father, Phillip Leslie Tomalin, was of British and Irish descent. It was perhaps her father's profession, however, that inspired her career path. He had worked in TV production, as well as in advertising and as a singer in a nightclub. The young Tomalin had clearly gotten a taste for the entertainment industry. As a result, she enrolled at the Catholic University of America after high school graduation, earning a degree in drama. A student at the institution until 1968, the budding actor studied under the guidance of renowned director and playwright, Father Gilbert V. Hartke. During Tomalin's drama studies, she met fellow wannabe actor Chris Sarandon, who was attending the same university. The young couple married in September 1967, shortly before her 21st birthday. However, the actor kept her married name for work purposes after the marriage ended in 1979, as she had already built a body of work. Sarandon's first role came in the 1970 movie Joe, an early film by director John G. Avildsen. She had accompanied her husband to an audition in 1969, and, although he was unsuccessful, she herself scored one of the film's leading roles. And its reception defied its modest budget. In Joe, Sarandon played Melissa Compton, the daughter of an advertising executive who gets sucked into a life of drugs. The movie was well received, earning much critical acclaim. It went on to earn nearly $20 million at the U.S. box office, despite a budget of just over $100,000. But the success didn't end there. Joe's scriptwriter, Norman Wexler, earned a Best Original Screenplay nomination at the Academy Awards. The writer would go on to pen the scripts for Serpico and Saturday Night Fever. Avildsen later directed the Rocky and Karate Kid franchises, earning an Oscar for Rocky in the process, in addition to the movie that launched the career of Susan Sarandon. Sarandon's debut movie was 13th at the box office in the U.S. in 1970, bringing her talent to the attention of many casting directors. Following Joe, TV work came in alongside the movie roles. And in 1975, she got a major part in cult classic The Rocky Horror Picture Show. But the actor's biggest parts were still to come. Work continued for Sarandon across film and TV throughout the 70s and 80s. In 1980 she starred alongside film legend Burt Lancaster in Atlantic City. Although it didn't perform well at the box office, the film nevertheless earned award nominations at the Oscars, including Best Actress for Sarandon, her first recognition. It was perhaps toward the end of the 80s, however, that Sarandon started to become a household name. In 1987, she worked alongside notable actors such as Jack Nicholson, Michelle Pfeiffer and Cher in The Witches of Eastwick. The movie was a hit and earned critical acclaim as well as multiple award nominations. Then, in 1988, Sarandon starred alongside Kevin Costner and Tim Robbins in the romantic comedy Bull Durham. The actor portrayed Annie Savoy, a woman who devotes herself to a new baseball player every season. However, an awkward love triangle occurs when she increasingly falls for Crash Costner while dating Nuke Robbins, her real-life partner at the time. Then, in 1988, Sarandon starred alongside Kevin Costner and Tim Robbins in the romantic comedy Bull Durham. The actor portrayed Annie Savoy, a woman who devotes herself to a new baseball player every season. However, an awkward love triangle occurs when she increasingly falls for Crash Costner while dating Nuke Robbins, her real-life partner at the time. In 1990, Sarandon received another Golden Globe nomination, this time for Best Actress in a Motion Picture for her role in White Palace. Her performance in Thelma and Louise earned Best Actress nominations at the Oscars, BAFTAs and Golden Globes the following year. More major award nominations followed in 1992 for her part in Lorenzo's Oil. Although Sarandon received accolades from critics for her roles in Atlantic City and Thelma and Louise, major awards still seemed to elude her. Despite multiple nominations for Academy Awards, BAFTAs and Golden Globes, the actor had yet to win a single gong. The tide, however, was about to turn. In 1994, Sarandon played a lawyer in the thriller The Client alongside Tommy Lee Jones. In the adaptation of the similarly titled John Grisham book, her character represents a young boy who may or may not know the whereabouts of a dead body. The performance earned the actor nominations for a BAFTA and an Oscar. Sarandon, however, lost the Academy Award for Best Actress. The accolade instead went to Jessica Lange for her performance in Blue Sky. But, although she missed out on her first BAFTA award when Jodie Foster won for Silence of the Lambs, this time it went to Sarandon for The Client. That elusive Oscar, then, would have to wait for another time. But Sarandon seemed to be riding the crest of a wave. In 1995 she starred in Dead Man Walking, in which her character, Sister Helen Prejean, acts as spiritual advisor to a man on death row, played by Sean Penn. The movie, directed by Sarandon's then-partner Tim Robbins, was highly acclaimed. Filmed on a budget of $11 million, Dead Man Walking would go on to earn more than $83 million worldwide at the box office. Not only that, it also garnered a number of big award nominations, including several Oscars. Tim Robbins was nominated for an Academy Award for his role as director. The soundtrack, too, carefully curated by Robbins and his brother, executive producer David, was represented by Bruce Springsteen for the title track. And although Sean Penn was also nominated as Best Actor for his lead role, there would be only one winner. Tim Robbins was nominated for an Academy Award for his role as director. The soundtrack, too, carefully curated by Robbins and his brother, executive producer David, was represented by Bruce Springsteen for the title track. And although Sean Penn was also nominated as Best Actor for his lead role, there would be only one winner. Over the next couple of years, Sarandon provided the narration to several documentaries, as well as voicing Miss Spider in the Tim Burton-produced James and the Giant Peach. So, it was little surprise when, in 1998, she was cast alongside legendary actor Paul Newman in Twilight. At the time, Newman had been on the Hollywood scene for more than 4 decades. His filmography included such movies as Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, The Hustler, HUD, Cool Hand Luke, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, The Sting, The Towering Inferno, The Color of Money and Nobody's Fool. Newman himself had also received many prestigious awards nominations for his roles in those movies. And, like Sarandon, he won the gong for his acting talents in the 1986 movie The Color of Money. Although he won a second Oscar in 1993, it was an honorary award in recognition of the actor's humanitarian work. Both Newman and Sarandon, then, were highly regarded in their field. As a result, they both, no doubt, commanded a salary that reflected their draw to the box office. And when they signed to work on Twilight together, their contracts, along with that of fellow co-star Gene Hackman, reflected the fact that equal billing meant equal pay. The clause that recognizes actors' equal status is called favored nations. It means that all 3 lead actors would not receive any preferential treatment over their co-stars. They would work on the same terms for the same rewards and the same recognition. For Sarandon, however, not everything was as it seemed. During filming for Twilight, Sarandon learned that her co-stars were indeed getting equal pay. That's to say, equal to each other. As it turned out, she herself was being paid less than her male counterparts. To the star's mind, then, that's not what their contracts stated. Sarandon, however, like Newman, is a well-known activist. She is notorious in her support for liberal and progressive causes, so she was unlikely to have taken the gender disparity lightly. And in an interview in 2018, on a press tour for her latest movie, the actor revealed what happened next. Sarandon was in the UK to promote Bombshell, the Hedy Lamarr story, a documentary on which she was executive director. Hedy Lamarr was, in fact, an immensely smart woman. According to the film, she had an aptitude for science and engineering that we should hold in the same regard as we do the likes of Nikola Tesla or Rosalind Franklin. Lamarr, however, became an actor instead. It's a career path that was perhaps a result of her outstanding looks more than any perceived acting abilities. Gender inequalities, then, seem to have existed in Hollywood since its golden age. And so, perhaps inevitably, Sarandon's interview broached the subject of its current problems. Sarandon told BBC Radio 5 Live in March 2018, Emma Stone once came forward and said she got equal pay, but only because her male co-stars insisted upon it and gave up something of theirs. Stone's revelation certainly echoes a wider conversation about gender disparity. Not just in Hollywood, either, but for all women in the workplace. The issue is perhaps amplified in Hollywood because of the wages that leading male and female actors can command. Unlike the real world, however, male actors are able to make a difference to their co-stars' parity. And, just as Stone described how her male counterparts supported her, Sarandon revealed Newman's own actions on Twilight. The issue is perhaps amplified in Hollywood because of the wages that leading male and female actors can command. Unlike the real world, how the issue is perhaps amplified in Hollywood because of the wages that leading male and female actors can command. Unlike the real world, however, male actors are able to make a difference to their co-stars' parity. And, just as Stone described how her male counterparts supported her, Sarandon revealed Newman's own actions on Twilight. Male actors are able to make a difference to their co-stars' parity. And, just as Stone described how her male counterparts supported her, Sarandon revealed Newman's own actions on Twilight. But when Sarandon learned that the favored nations clause in their contracts appeared only to apply to the leading men in the movie, she described how Newman voluntarily did the right thing. And 20 years after it happened, the talented actress took the opportunity to tell people what her co-star did. Sarandon continued, when they said it was favored nations, they only meant the two guys. Newman stepped forward and said, well, I'll give you part of mine. The Hollywood legend had volunteered to give his co-star part of his salary to ensure that she received equal pay. Twilight, which also featured performances from Reese Witherspoon, James Garner and Stockard Channing, would receive mixed reviews from critics. And although it earned around $15 million at the box office, the return was short of its $20 million outlay. Newman continued working up to his passing in 2008, aged 83. Sarandon, nevertheless, still speaks fondly of her former co-star. Newman was a gem, she described. As well as being a movie star, he was also well known for his philanthropy. Indeed, in tribute to the deceased legend, no less than the Pope's semi-official publication L'Osservatore Romano said, he was a generous heart, an actor of a dignity and style rare in Hollywood quarters. In the interview, conducted during International Women's Day, Sarandon also passed comment on the #MeToo movement. She said, there will always be a casting couch in Hollywood. I think what will go away is the unwanted exchange. The movement draws attention to the prevalence of sexual harassment and assault at work. Sarandon acknowledged that some do find those in positions of power attractive. But, she added, to be seduced by it is a choice. She concluded that, what we don't want to have is being exploited and have the Harvey Weinsteins of the world holding it over your head. That is the most despicable. To date, Susan Sarandon has appeared in almost 100 Hollywood movies alone. And, aged 72, her work on the big and small screens continues. Although gender disparity still an issue in Hollywood, the star's most recent activism has focused on rallies against gun violence and protests objecting to migrant family separation. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos.